Alright people, Mike Alden here again. Welcome back to some more Elden Ring. Today, mainly going to be following Ranni's questline after we pledged allegiance to her. So we're going to be going to Caelid to do some stuff there, and we're going to be going underground to Sophia River Well, or whatever it's called. I decided to have a quick little fight with this dragon outside Ranni's Rise, just so it isn't here every time I come back to talk to Ranni or whatever. It'll disappear when its health gets to like 50%, and then you have to fight it again later at a different area. I'm not sure if it disappears on its own during the story or whatever, but I just kind of wanted to get it out of my way because I'll be going around here talking to like Sylvis and Ranni, and could do without having to dodge this dragon all the time, so I just wanted to drive it away. But yeah, you can't. I don't think you can defeat it. Like, well, as soon as it gets to 50% health, it'll just fly away. Now that I've said that, there's probably a video somebody destroying it before it can escape. But yeah, I'm not powerful enough to do that, if that's even a thing you can do. But yeah, I just wanted to get rid of that dragon. And now for the first part of Ranni's quest, we spoke to Blade, the big wolf man, and he told us to come down to Sophia River Well to meet him and try to get to this lost city where there's an item that Ranni needs. So I'm just doing a bit of platforming here. Elden Ring is secretly a platformer. Um, there is actually quite a lot of areas where there's little hidden things that you have to jump to, and it's always quite risky and dangerous feeling because the jumping's not that precise. It's not really built for platforming the game, but yeah, there is quite a lot of it in here actually if you look for it. So that was just a random item I wanted to get. And then we met up with Blade here. He's telling us that he can see the city from down here, but he doesn't really have a way to get up from here. So it looks like we're going to have to go speak to Sylvis or whatever, because he thinks that he'll have some way of getting to where we need to go. I was just exhausting his dialogue, making sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, Sophia River Well's really one of the like coolest looking places in the game. I remember everybody lost their minds when you first go down that elevator and you realise like that there's a second map underneath the main map, and it's so beautiful down here, and it just kind of made you lose your mind. How big and expansive this is, and you come back to like so many different places down here that are like they're not all accessible at once. You have to do a few different sort of quest lines to get down everywhere that's in here, like the lost city and everything. But yeah, it's so cool, this area. I lit all the torches that allows me to unlock this boss battle. It's not one of my favorite bosses because it likes to run away from you a lot, and it's hard to get in your hits. And for some reason they disable torrent during this fight, even though it's a big open arena. So I'll probably skip through most of it because it takes a long time. And yeah, we'll just get right to the end of this fight. It's not really that hard of a fight, it's just about patience and trying to get your hits in on it when it like runs away from you. Really, torrent should have been available during this and the other ancestral deer fight. And also the Elden beast right at the end of the game. It's in a big arena like this where torrent feels like he should be available. But I guess they think it makes those fights too easy if you have torrent, so they got rid of him. But yeah, we went back to speak to Sylvis then, and he's telling us about selling the sorcerers. I've already spoken to her. I don't really need an introductory letter or whatever, but he gives us one anyway. And then what we do is we go back, speak to Selin and Limgrave, and she's going to be like, yeah, Radahn is really holding up Ranni's entire plan because he's preventing a meteor strike from crashing into Earth or whatever. That's going to reveal the secret entrance to the lost city where Ranni's blade that she needs is. So we just speak to Selin about that. And she's like, yeah, that's how you figure out you have to go to Caelid. First time through, I'm not sure a lot of people would figure out these steps because maybe they wouldn't even realize where to find Blythe down in Sophia River Well, or they might have missed Selvis and not know where he is, and they could just stumble into Caelid and fight Radahn and see the meteor strike and be like, what does any of this even mean? Because maybe they didn't even meet Ranni, because she's actually kind of hidden up there in Ranni's Rise if you just skip the Carrion Manor and go straight to Atlas Plateau. You could completely miss her. But yeah, I came back to Caelid. We got invaded by Millicent there in the middle of the swamp. I think she's a lot of people's favorite NPC in the game. She has a pretty cool quest line. I think she's related to Melania. She's a daughter or maybe a sister or something like that. And there's a lot of her sisters in the game. Anyway, she has a pretty cool quest line. So while we were in Caelid, I thought I would go get the alloyed needle or whatever you need to progress Millicent's quest line. I don't know if I'm going to completely follow her quest line, because there's a lot of steps that I forget what you have to do exactly. But for this first part, I thought I would start it off anyway. Just fight this Commander Niall, or O'Neill actually. For some reason, there's a lot of Irish names in this game. Commander Niall's a guy up in the snowfield, I think, and Commander O'Neill, he's down here in Caelid. So yeah, I think were these Radahn's knights or Melania's knights? I can't remember exactly. I think he might be one of the Radahn's actually. Or maybe Commander Niall is also a Radahn soldier. But yeah, for some reason Radahn had a lot of Irish guys working for him for some reason. Pretty funny. But yeah, he's not too hard of a fight. But if you do stumble into this kind of place low level, like you come in from Limgrave and you don't really know what you're doing, you'd probably get to this guy and just give up the game. If you were here low level without any really good armor or ash summons or a leveled up weapon, like a smith weapon up to like level 15 or something, you'd probably get to this guy and just get wiped out and just give up probably if you came here too early. But yeah, I got the needle off him, so it's time to travel back. Caelid is quite pretty in its own way. It's sort of heavy metal album cover kind of way. It does look really cool and dangerous. But we got the needle, so we came back to this guy. I spoke to him earlier, but I don't think I showed that conversation because it just really wasn't necessary. But we give the golden needle to him, or it's an unalloyed needle, and he turns it into a golden needle. And he gave us a map which explains the secret of the town next to us, which is that if you climb all the towers and light the beacons up there, that you can unlock all the different portals in that town. And behind a few of them there's like chests and stuff here. So I got this little talisman from one of them. And I think there was a weapon behind another one. And in the final portal that you deactivate or whatever, it leads to a boss fight. I was struggling to remember how to get up to it, but I think I got Torrent out and he helped me out. Torrent's really good for platforming too. Again, there's a lot of unexpected platforming in this that you can do with Torrent and by just jumping on the roofs of buildings. There's a lot of like dream-like logic to this world that FromSoft have created. Like bizarre things that you might do in a dream. Like, what if I got in this horse and made the horse double jump so I could run up this giant stalk of dead tree or whatever that was? And yeah, it just works, and I unlock the portal. Let's see, so yeah, we've got this little boss fight here. I don't think it's going to be too tough because I am pretty over leveled for these guys. So I'm kind of demolishing them health wise, but they're doing some pretty decent damage to me. Like, you shouldn't underestimate them, because if you let your guard down they probably could overwhelm me. But because I've got my Stormhawk and he's knocking them off balance, and doing some pretty helpful damage. I'm not really in that much of a danger from these two guys. These people aren't essential either for what we're doing. It's just while I was in Caelid, I thought I'd do some of the like quest lines that are available here. Take out some of the lower tier bosses in Caelid. I just get prepared for Radahn. You get a pretty cool sword from doing that though. And it's always just good practice to get another boss fight under your belt. So yeah, that's this little town that we unlocked everything in while doing Millicent's quest here. So we give her the golden needle, and that's going to help her become uncorrupted, or not uncorrupted of the Scarlet Rot, but sort of be able to survive its effects or whatever, put up with them. There was always something shady about that guy in the shack. Like, it's kind of strange why he wants to be involved in this. I can't remember the exact lore of what he's doing, but I think it's something shady he's trying to pull off here and manipulate Millicent. I think that could be it, or maybe he is actually just genuinely trying to help. But I can't recall. Anyway, a lot of the NPCs in these games like to betray you or have ulterior motives, or could be up to something that you're not really expecting. But yeah, I wanted to help Millicent because I think she's pretty straight-edged with us, and I think you can summon her for a few fights later, and it could turn out to be pretty helpful if you have her. So we came back to the shack and the old guy's gone, which is a bit strange. I can't remember what happens to him or if he shows up again. I really need to look up his lore and this whole Millicent quest line again because it is intriguing me. But because it's been like 2 years, I can't, and there's so much in this game, so many other quest lines and characters to keep a track of. Some of the stuff has gone out of my head. But again, while in Caelid, I came down into a mine, get some smithing stones so I can level up my sword a bit more. And I ran into one of these, what do you call it? One of the like starfall beasts or whatever they're called. And they drop a lot of smithing stones or whatever. A pretty decent fight. If you're under leveled, he could mess you up pretty easily. So don't come in here if you're too low level. Try to fight these kind of guys. But again, my Stormhawk, he's doing a pretty decent job getting in some hits for me and distracting the boss when I needed it to be distracted. We got him down, not without too much trouble, but it could have went badly if I'd got stuck in the wall anymore. And yeah, you unlock a load of smithing stones and stuff here to help you with your weapons. Again, out in the world, when I was just running around, I ran into this rotting, like, corrupted dragon, or whatever you would call it. Scarlet Rot dragon. Again, don't really need to fight him, but he was on my way to Radahn, and I thought I might as well just get him out of the way, in case I need to come back through this path. Would rather not run into this corrupted, big Scarlet Rot dragon. So he's not too bad as long as you do like this similar method that I've usually been doing, which is stick to the back legs, or get a few wing shots if you can't get the back legs for whatever reason. He can be a bit more dangerous because of his Scarlet Rot breath, and if he infects you with Scarlet Rot and you don't have any of those little cure items for Scarlet Rot, it could be trouble. But yeah, eventually I made it down to the Red Wind Castle, or Red Wine Castle, or whatever it's called. And the Radahn Festival's about to kick off. So Blythe, he made it over here. He worked out too, I guess, from Selvus, that we have to defeat Radahn so that Ranni's meteor, or whatever it is, can crash into the ground and open up the entrance to Nokron, or whatever it's called. Never quite sure who this lady is that's over here as part of the festival. Alexander's here, of course, we know him. And there's like these ghost people, like the spirit of Lionel or something, I think's over there. He has like my favorite armor in the game. Well, not my favorite looking armor, but it's just the most defensible armor. I think it has the best stats. But yeah, he was standing right there. And of course, the host of the Rodan Festival, I can't remember his name actually, but he's giving a speech and filling us in on Rodan's backstory and how there was a great battle here between him and Melania, uh, or whatever, and that he's been like he's lost his mind because of scarlet rot poisoning, and he just wanders the wasteland now. And I guess every year they hold this festival to see if somebody can finally put him out of his misery or whatever. And yeah, we're gonna run in with everybody else, and we're gonna try to put him down. It's probably one of the more memorable boss fights in the game. I think everybody loved this fight. Well, not loved it. A lot of people were really furious at this fight, but honestly, I never found it too bad. I guess it's because I do summon everybody that is available to summon here, and they sort of act as a distraction. It's pretty funny. You can summon Patches here, and he'll just come in, stay for about 2 seconds, and then it'll pop up Patches has returned to his own world. So yeah, he just looks at Radahn and goes, "Yeah, nope, I'm going home." So summoned Patches, and it'll pop up now. Patches has returned to his own world or whatever. Radahn really just he can't do so much damage, Radahn. But if you have all your buddies here fighting with you, you can get in some pretty quick damage on him. And you can overwhelm him pretty quickly actually. So we're just all in here wheeling on him. It's like 10 against 1. I think some people they don't bother to summon anybody, and they get really mad at this fight because of how powerful Radahn is or whatever. But yeah, if the ability to summon people's here, I'm gonna use it like it's part of the game. And I don't really feel too bad about ganging up on Radahn because he does a lot of crazy magic attacks and just a lot of stuff that I really wouldn't be able to put up with otherwise. So he jumped away up into the air. He's coming down like a meteor, but I quickly ran out of the way. I was trying to hit some of these other summon signs over here, but we really got his health down pretty quickly. I think he crashed into like everybody else, and I'm maybe one of the last people standing here. I got him down pretty quick. No, there was a few others that survived, but I think everybody else got taken out by his big meteor crash. Again, one of the more badass moments in the game. We kind of missed it there because I was riding out of the way of it, but yeah, he jumps away up and into the air, and then comes down back to Earth like a rocket or like a meteor that he was holding back here. And it can just completely wipe you out if you get hit by it. So now that Radahn's not here holding back all these stars and this meteor shower, one of them crashes into the earth over here in Limgrave, and that's going to open up our passageway underground. Blade, of course, he's over here at the end of the fight, and Alexander's down there somewhere too, but don't really need to speak to him at the moment. So yeah, we just talked to Blade, and then he's just like, yeah, it's time to get to Knockcron or whatever, and he'll meet us there or whatever. But he never shows up here. He leaves a message outside the entrance, which is, go on ahead, I'll catch up, or I'll meet you down there or whatever. But then you find him later. He's been trapped in an Everjail by Ichi, I think is his name. You know, the big giant guy who works for Ranni. He locks Blythe in there. And I think it was for his own good, because he senses that Blythe is eventually going to turn like rabid, or turn into one of these baleful shadows that Ranni keeps talking about. So he was locked in there for his own good, I think. But we accidentally come along and let him out. And then we have to fight him later once Ranni leaves on her quest. And yeah, the Eternal City again, Sophia River Well, everything that's down here just looks really cool. This is again one of the more memorable fights. This is against the Mimic tier. We'll eventually get our own Mimic tier. It's going to be one of the best Ash summons that you can get in the game. But basically, it's just a doppelganger Ash that just takes your form and has all your abilities. Has the same like level as you, and whatever magic you have equipped, the Mimic tier will use it. He'll use your armor, your sword, and I think all the effects of the talismans that you're using will also be used by the Mimic tier. And it just can become so powerful if you have the right armor and the right sword equipped. You and the Mimic tier can do some serious damage. I still like using the Stormhawk for quite a while, but yeah, the Mimic tier, probably the top 3 Ash summons are the Mimic tier, Black Knife Teach, or whatever it's called, and then the Stormhawk. And then maybe 4 and 5 is Clean Rot Knight Finley. And I'm going to give the 5th place to the Wolves, actually. Even though they're so basic, if you get them up to level 10, they can help you out with quite a lot of boss fights for most of the game. Up until you get to sort of Lindell Capital, then they become a bit less effective. And then you want to whip out the Mimic tier and maybe Black Knife Teach or someone like that. But yeah, that's probably the best Ash summons that you can get. Nukron has these guys, these little named Silver Warriors or whatever they're called. They're kind of like really tough little NPC guys. My sword's pretty powerful, so I can make short work of them. And I'm wearing Radahn's armor now, by the way. I bought it after I defeated him, because it was actually more powerful than the Mausoleum Knight armor. And the next armor I will be swapping to, which I'll probably keep for the rest of the game, is Lionel's armor. Once we get to the Lindell, the like capital city in Atlas Plateau or whatever. But yeah, while we're down here in the Lost City, this is where we get the Mimic tier as well. It's in a chest over here. You need to spend a little stone sword key or whatever to get in here. But it is worth it. Now, they did nerf the Mimic tier back in the day. They put out a patch because the Mimic tier was honestly just soloing bosses for people. If they had the right build, you could just stand in a corner and let the Mimic tier fight for you, and it was pretty funny. And I wish they didn't nerf it, because it's kind of cool that if you go out of your way to find this really hidden sort of Ash summon and then level it all the way up, it's pretty cool that it can do that kind of crazy thing. And it is a nice help for people who are not great at the game, like me. Ash, the Mimic tier, he is still pretty badass. Even after the nerf, and there is certain bosses that he can take out still by himself if you have him leveled up and have the right sword and everything. So yeah, we got the Finger Slayer Blade. We're going to go ahead and give that to Ranni. We also got a Great Ghost Flower, or whatever it's called, which will allow us to upgrade eventually the Mimic tier, or whatever our favourite Ghost Ash summon is, to its highest potential. Also, while I was down here, I did this Ancestral Spirit. A lot like the other fight, only just a little bit tougher, and this one uses some magic. But it's worth getting him because his Remembrance can unlock a pretty powerful tool, or a talisman. The FP Recovery Talisman that gives you more FP whenever you use it. I also opened up this area where you go down this coffin to the Darkroot Basin or whatever. Probably not going to do anything with it today, but because I was down underground in the Lost City, I did go ahead and unlock this area while I was at it. But it's not really important to what I was doing today, following Ranni's questline. So yeah, I found Blythe again trapped in this Everjail, and he's talking about EG locked him in there or whatever. And I'm not sure what happens if you actually leave him locked in there. Maybe he breaks out on his own. Because I think EG and Ranni, they know that eventually Blythe, he's been like cursed or whatever to eventually turn against Ranni or whatever by the greater will or whoever created Blythe and his wolfmen. But yeah, we give Ranni the finger slaying blade, and she's like, so you were the chosen one all along or whatever. Um, she gives you that little key that'll get you into the tower in Lunaria of the Lakes, which has her body at the top of the tower. And I think you can get something else over there. You can activate the Great Rune of Renala or whatever, and that'll help you out over there. And then Ranni just kind of disappears, and you could be a bit confused after this, and not really know what to do. But if you speak to EG or the big giant guy, whatever you call him, you can find your way to this Ansel River or whatever, and you can find miniature Ranni, which is this doll that's just sitting down here. And if you talk to it at the sight of grace, she'll eventually get annoyed and give in and actually admit that, yeah, this is her. And she didn't think you would recognize that it was her. Even though, how are you not going to recognize a miniature version of the doll that you were talking to and be like, what the hell is this doing here? So yeah, we catch her out, and she asks us to help her again. I don't know what her plan was otherwise, just to sit there until somebody else came along. I don't know why she wouldn't ask us to just come here and help her or whatever. But yeah, we have to get through this area now and fight the void beast or whatever it's called. The some natural born of the void or whatever his name is. These guys, they look like big bloodborne bosses, to be honest. This guy kind of looks like one of the natural born of the void, so we just took him out in this opening area, got a nice little smithing stone there, and basically we have to fight our way through another underground area, and then we have to go through the lake of rot, and eventually we'll unlock the key to the chest back at Renala's room, and then we can get a ring and give it to Ranni and become her consort eternal or whatever. So here's the Mimic Tier in action while I'm fighting through the underground city again. It's not really a boss fight or anything, this, but it's where two of these silver tier guys or whatever they're called, they come out to fight you, and it could be pretty tricky if you don't have someone helping you out. And the Mimic Tier, he looks like Radahn because I'm dressed like Radahn, and he has a flaming sword because I have flaming grease powder or whatever equipped. So whatever items you equip, the Mimic Tier, if it wants to, it'll use them. And yeah, it can be really helpful. So yeah, that was just the Mimic Tier in action. He's pretty decent already. So eventually we make it to this area where one of these baleful shadows that Ranni's been going on about is. This is what's going to happen to Blythe. I think when I first got here I thought this was Blythe, and then he'd already turned insane or whatever. But yeah, these assassins or whatever, they eventually all turn on Ranni or whatever. Except for Blythe, he's lasted the longest for some reason. His loyalty didn't really wane. But just in case they locked him in that Everjail or whatever, I think. I could be butchering the remembrance of this plot line, but I think it's something like that eventually he's going to go insane like these other shadows and try to take out Ranni. So yeah, after we defeated this one, Ranni's now sort of free to travel through here, I guess, and she leaves us again. And she thanks us, and she tells us to tell Blythe and Ichi that she loves them or whatever. Selvus, he's not mentioned pretty hilariously. Again, I don't really know why Ranni was working with him, because He's just this like creep who wants to collect everyone and turn them into dolls. Maybe he had some skills that were useful, so she kept him around. But I'm pretty sure she knew the whole time that he was betraying her, and eventually, like, I'm pretty sure she takes him out. And the guy that's controlling him, Platia or whatever, he gets destroyed by his own puppets. And I'm pretty sure Selvus was a puppet too. And he thought he was being clever and get one over on Ranni, but yeah, it didn't really work out that way. So once we crossed the lake of rot or whatever, you have to go through another coffin. This game really likes putting you in coffins to transition to new areas. They did that in Dark Souls 2 as well, I believe. They just love making you climb into a coffin. So now this is the nameless Born of the Void, whatever his name is. I've got the Mimic Tear with me. We're going to try to dodge all this nonsense and get up and start just smack him in the head. Because if you get a good hit on his head, that can stun him and then you can get in a critical attack or whatever. So you just have to dodge all this nonsense. He can be somewhat tricky because, again, it's one of those enemies where I think originally they were going to let you have Torrent because of how wide and open the arena is, but then maybe having Torrent I can't even say that word, but trivialized the fight, and maybe that's why they disabled Torrent in this arena and quite a few arenas like this, because maybe they're like, this kind of just breaks this fight where you can't really get hit by anything if you're just double jumping around the place with Torrent. But yeah, he can be annoying more than difficult, this guy, because he's just kind of hard to hit. But at least the Mimic Tear is getting in some decent damage for me while I'm trying to line up this shot on his head and try to stun him. But it is annoying because when you get knocked over, it can stun lock me instead. There we go, now we can get a nice little critical shot on him. Nice. And the Mimic Tear, because I have lightning as one of my spells, he's throwing in lightning bolts and stuff occasionally. It's pretty funny. You have to be careful that you don't equip any spells that, like, it would be stupid for the Mimic Tear to use, because they might end up using that by mistake and it could get them destroyed and could be a disadvantage to you in the fight. But at the moment, he likes setting his sword on fire. I don't think he uses any of our, like, flame grease or whatever you call it. Hopefully he doesn't, otherwise he's wasting loads of it. But I think he just has his own supply of everything that you have. Oh, this was close. I accidentally got caught in that. But yeah, at least the Mimic Tear was still here. I don't think he got caught by it. I'm just trying to get these heavy R2 attacks in on the Star Beast or whatever, this Nameless of the Void or whatever. Again, reminds me of like a Bloodborne boss or something. Feels really Lovecraftian almost, this creature. But yeah, we put him down. Legend failed, and now Ranni is free to return to the site of the two fingers that she was supposed to be praying to or worshipping or whatever. So I'm level 80 something now, I think. Level 81 was that. And now we can proceed up to Out of Deep Ansel Well or whatever, and we're up at the Moonlight Altar. There's a church up here which seems to be really linked to Ranni and Ranella and Moonlight and the stars and everything. And this is where we're going to give the ring to Ranni. Probably not going to leave in the footage where I went to get the ring because it was just like a lot of fast traveling. But yeah, I've got the ring, and now this is where we can have a rematch against this dragon that was outside Ranni's tower. And I would guess that this dragon is maybe summoned by Ranni, or a protector or a test or something that she has, and that's why it's followed her here. Now is the final test to see if we're worthy of being her consort or something. Maybe she put the dragon outside this little church or whatever, and if we can defeat this dragon, it'll be we're worthy to become her consort. Although I'm not sure about that theory, it's probably easily disproved. Somebody probably already has disproved why this dragon's here, but that was just my guess from not really reading into this dragon too much. I just think it's interesting that he appears outside Ranni's Rise, and you can get rid of it, but then it comes back later at this place, just before you reunite with Ranni. So they do feel linked. Also, it is a glintstone dragon which sorcerers create. So someone from Raya Lucaria or someone with magic created this dragon, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was Selvus or something, because he was a sorcerer or whatever too. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think it is Ranni's dragon and she created it as just another security measure. And that it followed her over here once we jumped out into this underground tunnel, and we find another set of the two fingers. Because we gave her the finger slaying blade, she was able to get rid of them and now shake off the greater will's influence on her or whatever. So she's pretty much free to create her new empire of the moon and stars or whatever, the dark night or the age of the stars. And yeah, I said it before, but I do think her questline is the main questline that you're supposed to follow. It feels like it has the most going on in it, and it's linked to like all the other demigods. And yeah, it just feels like Ranni's ending is the most fleshed out ending. It's pretty funny here. It looks like Radahn is marrying Ranni, which is pretty funny. But I also think Radahn's related to Ranni in some way, so that's a bit weird. But I didn't really think about it when this cutscene was coming up. So Ranni's spirit or whatever shows up here again, and she's like, "Okay, so I'm pleased that you are my consort and you're a fitting choice or whatever. But I've got to go now and create my new order, and please become the Elden Lord, and then we'll travel the stars together or whatever." And then she disappears again now till the end of the game, which that's a little bit annoying that Ranni doesn't show up anywhere else. It would be cool if, oh yeah, and you get the Dark Moon Greatsword, of course. Everybody loves the Dark Moon Greatsword. It's been in like every FromSoft game. Well, not every FromSoft game, but most of them. Most of the Souls-like ones, anyway. While I was up here at the Great Moon Altar, or whatever it's called, I decided I wanted to get the Black Knife Teach, or Tish Ash summon. But in order to do that, you have to fight the Electo Black Knife Ringleader. So I'm trying to do a little cheese method that I found back in the day, which is where you get the Black Knife trapped in a corner over here, and they can't really get out of it if you get them far enough back in. I think a lot of people also realised this cheese, but I think I was one of the first people to discover it. If you go back on my channel to about 2 years ago, you'll find a Black Knife Ringleader cheese video where I found this by accident. I'm not sure if I was the first one. If you look at the date, it was definitely in like, when did Elden Ring come out again? February 2022. My video's either in February or March, and it's basically where I stumbled into realising that if you trapped the Black Knife Ringleader in this corner here, they can't really get out of it as long as you're careful. Now I was kind of messing this up a little by stopping to heal, but my health was a bit lower than I would have liked, and they almost break out because of my stupidity quite a few times, but I managed to keep locking them back in. And really, if you do get them into this corner, there isn't a lot they can do about it, as long as you have a lot of health to tank any stray hits that they can get out. And you just keep whacking away at them, you're gonna make quick work of them. and it takes one of the harder boss fights and makes it a bit easier for people of low skill like me. And I'm surprised they didn't patch this out, like get rid of the terrain of this rock or something. But yeah, I'm glad this is here, because sometimes you don't have time to get really good at a fight and you just want to get on with the game. So yeah, that is the Black Knife Teach, or Teach. I really need to learn how to say her name. Sometimes she's one of the best Ash summons, so I just wanted to get her. And then finally for this video, to round things off, we've come back to Ranni's Rise, and Blade is here, and he's kind of lost his mind, which is what I think EG was worried about. He's got these glowing red eyes now. Although I'm not sure if it's because we became Ranni's consort, which maybe was something he wanted to do, and that's what made him eventually lose his mind, or if he was always going to go crazy eventually. I need to look up some lore videos on him again. But yeah, this is a pretty decent fight. It's kind of a repeat of the Shadow Wolf guy we fought down underground. But yeah, eventually you get Blythe down, and yeah, you unlock his armor and his sword and everything. And I just thought that was a good way to end Ranni's questline, by saying goodbye to Blythe. Although I think I go to speak to Ranni here. She's a bit more dialogue. So it actually proves that she's still with you with the doll actually, because you can speak to her here again. And then I went to see EG again just to round off some dialogue about Blythe. But yeah, still having a lot of fun playing Elden Ring again, getting ready for Shadow of the Erdtree. I think I'm just going to have enough time to make 1 or 2 more Elden Ring videos, and then hopefully be at Mogwin's Palace and be ready for the DLC. Alright people, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time when we take on the Atlas Plateau region.